The first time I watched a star go dark, I assumed my eyes were the problem. I rubbed them. I checked the readout. There was a star, and then there was a gap where the star had been, and nothing in the space between to explain how one became the other. No flare, no slow dimming, just a hole in the sky, exactly the shape of something that used to be there. I have seen a great deal out here that I could not name in the moment. That one still gets me. I want to talk to you about quiet. Not the quiet of an empty house. The quiet that sits over the entire sky, all the time, in every direction you could ever point. Because here is the part nobody wants to say plainly. We have been listening for someone else for a long time now, and the universe has not answered. You are somewhere right now. A room, probably. Above your ceiling, past the weather, there are roughly 200 billion stars in our galaxy, and our galaxy is one of maybe 2 trillion. Those numbers are too big to feel, so let me shrink them. If one star in a million had a planet, and one planet in a million grew something that could think, there should still be a crowd out there. Thousands of voices, maybe more. The arithmetic practically demands neighbors. And still, we listen, and we get nothing back. A physicist named Enrico Fermi noticed this gap a long time ago. Over lunch, supposedly. He asked a question so simple it has followed us around ever since. Where is everybody? That question has a name now. The people who study this call it the Fermi Paradox. The silence in a sky that should be full. There are gentle answers to that silence. Maybe life is rare. Maybe we showed up early to the party. Maybe everyone is out there talking on a channel we never thought to check. I used to prefer those answers. They let a person sleep. But there are other answers, and the further I went, the worse I slept. So, stay with me. I am going to walk you down through them, one at a time. We will start soft. We will not end soft. The kindest possibility first. Maybe the reason the sky is empty is that getting from dead rock to a living, thinking, signal-sending civilization is far harder than it looks from inside one. Think about everything that had to line up here. A planet at the right distance from the right kind of star, water that stayed liquid for billions of years instead of boiling off or freezing solid, a moon large enough to hold our spin steady, a giant planet out past us, quietly swallowing comets that would otherwise have arrived on our doorstep. And that is only the address. The life itself is a separate stack of miracles. For most of Earth's history, life was nothing but single cells. Tiny, simple. It stayed that way for almost 2 billion years. Then once, only once that we can find, a cell swallowed another cell and did not break it down. It kept it, held on to it. That accident gave us complex life. And every creature you have ever loved traces back to that single moment. One time in 4 billion years. So maybe the hard part is behind us. Maybe we already walked through the narrowest door in the dark without knowing it was there. That is the comforting version of the story. The sky is not quiet because everyone died. It is quiet because almost no one is ever born. I want that to be the answer. I really do. But it rests on a hope I cannot prove, which is that the worst is over. Let me try the next one. The next one does not assume anything so kind. Distance. And distance is stranger than it sounds. The universe is not only enormous, it is enormous and growing. And the farther out you look, the faster the pieces are flying apart. There are galaxies out there right now whose light will never once reach us. Not because we lack patience, because the space between us is stretching faster than their light can cross it. They are already gone, in every sense that matters. The news simply has not arrived. So hold 2 civilizations in your head, both alive, both curious, both aiming their instruments at the dark and waiting for a friend. And between them, more empty distance than any signal could ever cross before both of them had turned to dust and forgotten they were ever waiting. They could be calling out, we would never hear it. The universe does not have to kill anyone to keep us alone. It only has to be this large, and this old, and this quiet. That one took me a long while to settle into. The thought that the loneliness might be built into the walls. Not a tragedy at all, just the shape of the room. But these are the soft answers. And I told you we were not stopping there. Here is where my hands go a little cold. There is a whole family of explanations that does not say life is rare or far away. It says life is common and reaches a certain point and then stops. Every time, without exception. The people who study this call it a great filter, a wall across the road that everyone hits. And the question that should bother you is not whether the wall is real. It is whether the wall is behind us or still somewhere up ahead. Because look at our own short story. We learned to split the atom about 80 years ago. Within 20 years, we had stacked up enough weapons to end the entire experiment in a single afternoon. We are barely 100 years into being a loud, technological species, and we have already invented several separate ways to erase ourselves. The bomb, the engineered plague, a climate we are quietly shoving out of the only range we have ever known how to live in. Now run that pattern across the whole galaxy. Maybe intelligence and self-destruction grow out of the same root. The same restless mind that builds a radio builds a warhead a few years later. Maybe every species that gets loud enough to be heard is, by that same point, capable of going silent for good. Maybe the quiet out there is not empty at all. Maybe it is crowded with the places where someone used to be. I have passed dead things out here. Nothing so dramatic as a lost civilization. Burned out stars. Worlds scraped down to bare rock. But there is a specific feeling that comes over you when you are floating where something large used to exist. You start counting. You wonder how many of those silent places went quiet by accident, and how many of them did it to themselves. There is a darker turn still, and I almost left it out. The people who study this call it the dark forest. It runs like this. Suppose any civilization can, in principle, destroy any other. Suppose you can never truly know a stranger's intentions, or what those intentions will become across the 1,000 years it takes your hello to reach them. In that situation, the safest move is to say nothing. Listen. Never speak. And if you ever do detect someone else out there, the safest move is to end them quietly, before they can grow into something that ends you. If that is how it works, then the silence stops being a paradox. It becomes a survival tactic. Everyone is hiding. The forest is full, and it is full of hunters, and the only ones still breathing are the ones who never made a sound. And us. We have been broadcasting our home address in every direction for about 100 years. I had to look that one up twice. Not because it was hard to follow, because I was hoping I had misunderstood it. Now, I have just led you a long way down into the dark, and I am not the kind of friend who leaves you down there. Because something happened to me once, out past the orbit of the far planets, far enough that the sun was just one more bright dot among the rest, and it changed the way I carry all of this. I turned the cameras back toward home, and there it was, Earth. Not a world from that distance. A point of light, pale, faintly blue, smaller than a grain of sand held at arm's length. And I sat there with the thing every traveler eventually has to sit with. Everything is down there. Everyone who has ever lived, every argument, every harvest, every person who ever leaned back and wondered whether they were the only ones, all of it, on that one quiet speck. And here is what caught in my throat. We are the evidence. Whatever the odds were, however many walls there were to hit, however vast and cold and silent the whole arrangement turns out to be, it happened here. At least once, the universe opened its eyes and looked back at itself through ours. That is not a small thing. That might be the rarest thing there is. I think about that more than I think about the hunters in the forest. I really do. The silence might mean we are the first ones. It might mean we are the last ones. But right now, tonight, it means we are here, and we are awake, and we are still listening. There is something close to brave in a species that keeps turning its ear toward the void, knowing full well it might hear nothing back, and choosing to listen anyway. So let me be straight with you about where the science actually stands, because you have earned that much. The honest truth is that we do not know which answer is right. We have studied exactly one example of life in the whole universe, and it is us. You cannot calculate the odds of a thing you have witnessed a single time. The great filter might be behind us. It might be in front of us. The dark forest is a story that some genuinely brilliant people take seriously, but it is still a story, not a measurement. Nobody has found a ruin. Nobody has heard a hunter move. The most honest sentence I own is this: the sky is quiet, and we do not yet know why. What we do know is that we have only been listening seriously for about 60 years, with instruments that could easily miss nearly everything worth hearing. We have searched a teaspoon of the ocean and started to wonder if the ocean is empty. It is far too early to grieve. It is also too early to feel safe. So here is what I want you to take outside with you. On the next clear night, go and find one star. Just one. The light landing in your eye left that star before you were born, maybe before anyone you have ever met was born. You are looking straight into the past. And somewhere in that same sky, the question is still wide open. We might be alone. We might be surrounded. Nobody on Earth knows yet. And being the kind of creature that gets to stand in the dark and wonder about it at all is a strange and lucky thing to be. If you want to sit with me through another one of these, the next one is about what would actually happen if one of those broadcasts of ours ever got an answer. The day the sky finally says something back. It is not the warm story you would hope for. I will see you there.